Our first story is, I'm the DM, so I own you. In the ancient times, long before COVID, I was a part of a D&D group that consisted of friends and acquaintances that I had made at the community college I attended. We had all had an interest in playing Dungeons & Dragons, but didn't have anyone who knew the rules in depth and wanted to run a game for us. That all changed when we met Carla. Not her real name, but let's roll with it. Carla had just moved from out of state and was looking to put a game together. Since she had way more experience than any of us, we all jumped at the opportunity to have her run a game for us. We generally tried to meet at least 3 days a week since most of us were aloof 20-something-year-olds with way too much free time on our hands. At first things were cool. She was very patient with teaching us how to play, was very knowledgeable about the rules, and everyone was having a great time with their first campaign. That all started to change about a month in, when the Fire Nation attacked. Carla had posted a message in the group chat which went along the lines of that we needed to start pitching in a little bit of cash for each session since he was taking a sizable amount of time where he was missing out on potential opportunities to be making money. At the time, we were all behind it. He was taking 3 to 6 hours out of her day to run games for us while also attending her classes. So we were more than down to show her a little appreciation. It was agreed that we would pitch in $10 each, which added up to $50 a session for. So pause the post. It is not uncommon for there to be paid D&D games. That said, this can be a red flag if it's in person. Not necessarily all the time, but I think that this is sort of the start of where some abuse might start popping in from Carla. Resume. I'd say for a few weeks everything was fine. However, since I was an unemployed art major whose only source of income was taking commissions, it was a bit hard for me to keep up with the pace of paying $10 3 times a week. It was a little much for me since taking commissions wasn't exactly lucrative or consistent at that time in my life. So one session I just couldn't pay, but I had raided my freezer and pantry and brought a bunch of snacks, a way of making up for it. I even apologized beforehand. God, I love the snack guy. Listen, I don't give a shit like if it's a paid game or not. I love the snack guy. The snack guy is the... no matter what, snack guy plays free. Even if it's a completely paid game. Just, snack guy gets in free. Okay? But that night, I literally could do nothing when it came to rolling dice. It didn't matter how high I rolled, I couldn't hit anything. And none of my skill checks passed. This was despite some of the other people in our group rolling lower than I had rolled. Ah, the pay-to-win DM. The first I've actually heard of this. And now I know why it's a horror story. After that, she reached out to me asking why I thought I was above paying. And when I explained the situation and said I would get it to her next session, she said something along the lines of, well, good. Maybe next time you'll be able to hit something. Man, why did you put it out in the fucking open, bitch? Which pretty much confirmed that she was making sure my rolls didn't matter. Now, that was a massive red flag, but at the time I felt like an asshole. Like I wasn't coming through for someone else that was counting on me. Alright, so, pause. This is the second red flag. The first one was making people pay you to DM in person. Usually, that's not something that's done in the community. Not in my experience, at the very least. Like, I've seen like $10 to join a session on like Roll20. And I think that's pretty valuable because if you're playing on Roll20 or Foundry VTT, you know, you can charge like $5–10 just to make sure you've, you know, helped to pay for the software. I think it's worth it. Now, on with the post. After that, she just started to get more pushy. There was one incident where she ordered a pizza, expected us to cover it, and then didn't share any of it. She would make a list of snacks she wanted at the session and who was expected to bring them. If anyone didn't bring them or just forgot, coincidentally, none of their roles or actions seemed to matter that session. We'd get some sort of passive-aggressive post in the chat afterwards. At this point, a lot of people in the group were starting to get fed up, but none of us wanted to be the first one to leave the group, so we mostly just stuck to venting in private. Around this time, Carla started working for a certain MLM makeup company. MLMs suck. Fuck MLMs. They should all go die in a hole. And informed us that before sessions, they could buy something from her selection of products for $10. We had to get her an appointment with someone we knew who might be interested in buying some off of her. Sounds stupid? Yeah, we thought so too. I remember me and one of the other girls in the group buying one overpriced product just to be polite, but everyone else just wanted to give her $10. That led to her freaking out on everyone, throwing us out of her apartment and surprisingly, not saying anything on the group chat for a few days. When she did return, it was to berate us for her missing her quota this week, how we aren't doing enough, and that there wouldn't be any more sessions until we help fix the problems we made. Never let Boss Babes DM. It only ends in disaster. We shockingly didn't want our money and fun held hostage by someone who treated us as her own personal piggy bank, because she wanted to chase after a pink Mercedes that she was never going to get. So we all just collectively said, fuck it, and blocked her all at once, with some of us deciding to tell her off before doing so. There was a confrontation on campus, which led to her being escorted off campus after spitting in my friend's face. After that, we moved on. We started playing some little one-offs and homebrew campaigns before we added a much cooler DM who didn't expect us to pay. So, this post shows one massive glaring issue. Never let Boss Babes DM, because when it comes down to it, Boss Babes they have been indoctrinated by some sort of multi-level marketing, and they're going to be trying to hit their quotas because they're trying to recoup their money. Most people who join an MLM are not going to make any money. In fact, studies have shown that some of them will lose as much as $10,000 per year that they are in an MLM. And that only causes issues when it comes down to Dungeons & Dragons, because, well, they're gonna want money. They're having issues living, because they're in an MLM, and they don't realize that it's bad for them. So they try and recoup the money through Dungeons & Dragons, which in turn puts stress on the entire party. And then what this person does is, oh man, you didn't pay? You didn't buy our products? Well, fuck you. You're gonna die. My choice? The second that she showed that second red flag, where she was screaming at him for, not, paying, and instead bringing snacks, fucking new DM, new adventure, everything, just fuck her. She does not belong here. Now, on to the next post. GM constantly gets me pregnant. Don't worry, it's not long, it's just cursed. Boy, I could talk about this GM for hours. But the story that recently clicked was how he always seemed to get my characters pregnant. One was a fairy-themed character in a secret agent game. She made a pact with the Fairy King, but it got interrupted before they could shake hands on it. I was expecting something really cool, like a vengeance story or maybe a redemption arc. But no, the plot got rushed and suddenly everyone was stuck at the Fairy King's court, and the only way to get out was if my character agreed to bear his child. I would have tossed him out the first time. Non-consensual pregnancy in Dungeons & Dragons is not a good thing. I would liken it to, like, actually just mentally raping somebody. If somebody's not cool with this sort of thing, you wouldn't do it. This is why Session 0 is very, very much so important, because there's a lot of things that you will learn about the DM in Session 0 if they're DMing for you for the first time, and there's a lot of things that the DM's going to need to know about you, such as things that you're fine with, things you're not fine with. And if this character actually had a session 0, which I'm assuming they did, I am trying to give them the benefit of a doubt, no doubt she would have said, yeah, no. I'm not cool with being made pregnant in D&D. And the DM should just leave it well enough alone. And I'm assuming that what happened is the DM has not. Now, roll post. I tried really hard to negotiate and play my way around it, but no! It was the only way they would let us go. The alternative was death. Not wanting the game to end, I agreed, and had to leave my character at the court for a week. Time's wonky in Fairyland. Another character was a teenage high school girl in a superhero setting. It had to do with her boyfriend. They even used multiple forms of protections. A few sessions later, the GM smiles and writes me a note. Period is 2 months late. Okay, that's creepy as fuck. Apparently, superpowered sperm is also a thing. Boy, do I wish I tore that note in half and just said no. But last we went to a doctor to get an abortion because neither of us wanted to be parents. No, the baby's life force is tied with yours. Oh, well, that sucks. Good thing we have a friend who has literal control over life. Yeah. That one. There's nothing she can do. The worst part of this one was that after a time skip, it gets heavily implied that one of her close friends drugged her at a party, raped her, and that's how she was pregnant. And the list just goes on and on every single time I've made a female character, and I mean every time. She has ended up pregnant. The GM knows that I am uncomfortable with pregnancies, but I'm the only one at the table able to become pregnant in real life, and that includes his partner of 10 plus years. I honestly feel like a weird stand-in for their need to have a child together, or even worse, a fetish of theirs. I mean, no kink shaming, but please, don't involve friends who don't want to be a part of it. OP, I really do sympathize with you. This isn't something that you can easily stop, and arguably, this is something that it could be seen as him alluding to his own personal plans. When you're DMing, you're telling a story, you're putting yourself out there. It's a story written by you. And if you're constantly getting a specific player pregnant, it could be that you have a crush on that person, or that you are wanting a baby with that person. And with the whole, like, allusion to date rape and drugs and stuff, and I would say that there's a strong chance that it is just a sign that he has plans, and it could be that his wife is in on it. It could be that his wife doesn't know. I would dissociate with this person almost immediately, just after the first time. I've been like, yeah, no, fuck that, you're not my DM anymore. But since it's been every female character you've ever played, and you're the only one in the group that can get pregnant, there's a strong likelihood of this being one of his plans. Watch out, OP. Please be safe. Be very safe, and don't let your drinks out near this person. If you're, like, in private, don't ever go out with this person on your own. Make sure you have somebody with you, aside from his wife, maybe. Just someone that you can trust. Please, be careful. This is not something to joke about. This isn't something safe. Watch out for yourself. Alright? Thank you. Now, on with the next post. Sad Kobold is sad. Terrifying CR-18 monk comes out of nowhere and kills us all. This party consists of a Lizard Folk Barbarian, level 5, Water Genasi Druid of level 5, and a Kobold Bard of level 5. I had a session last night that left me depressed and just sitting there with my head on the table, not knowing how to mechanically in-game handle the situation, or socially either. I know what he did was a dick move. I'm not questioning that. I'm here in this subreddit more to share my story than to ask for advice. I'm just so sad about it. I really enjoyed the other PCs, and the story so far had some fun moments between us. But the DM's contributions and the story so far weren't that great, if I'm being honest here. For reference, I am the gaming group's primary and veteran DM. Everyone has played under me for a minimum of 3 years, up to 6 years now, and those starting their journeys in DMing look to me for guidance and whatnot. The DM in question is one of those players turned DM. We were in a dungeon at level 5, and encountered a room full of 11 enemies. Easy, we thought. We're almost completely tapped on abilities at this point, but I have sleep still, so I can make a few out of the fight. The guy in the center of the room, obviously a monk based on description, goes first. Hits our barbarian for 27 damage! Ugh. He realizes it's too dangerous and try to book it. I blow the last of my bard abilities to help my friends run, and we split up. Throughout the combat in 9 rounds, I went through the stages of grief and ended up on acceptance, and charged my tiny kobold into the terrifying man just to get it over with. I was tired of avoiding the inevitable. I'm fine with PC death. It sucks, but I'm fine with it. What I'm not fine with is the DM throwing what equates to an adult ancient dragon at a party of 3 level 5s in a dungeon where we are already ability tapped for no reason, knowing it's going to be a TPK. To make a long story short, 2 of us surrendered after every single ounce of fight was drained from us, and our 3rd party member dropped to 0. The barbarian had been dodging almost every round to try and buy us time, but the minions caught us off, so we fell back to the barbarian again before we could escape. Monk knocked out the druid, at which point we surrendered as the DM confirmed our accusations of it being a forced TPK. Gross. I got upset and called him out, saying he basically just threw Tiamat at us at level 5 without warning us. For context, we completed that campaign with me as DM last fall, so I'm familiar with her stat block. He tried to discreetly look up her stat block, failed his stealth check, I saw him. And when he saw it, made a face and then didn't comment, having realized I made a fair comparison. So, this is what I had gleaned from this guy. To hit bonus was a minimum of a plus 13. Dealt on average 20 to 25 damage per hit, with multi-attack including a legendary action attack, and was holding back as described by the DM. Ability save DC was at minimum 17, AC was minimum 18, and the HP was well over 60. And we use wounded/bloodied rules, and after dealing almost 30 damage, he wasn't even at half yet. There was no escaping him. He had legendary actions that let him teleport 60 feet! God. Yeah, no, this is Tiamat. This is basically just Tiamat in a monk stat block. Relevant info. We are playing Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. We are a party of 3, and the campaign suggests 5 to 6. The DM selected us 3 out of our gaming group. He chose a party of 3 to be clear for this campaign. The DM was very combat focused and confrontational as a player. We expected difficult combat and difficult roleplay successes as well going into the game. That's fine for some DMs, and that's fine for some players that like to focus on the combat rather than roleplay. The DM has expressed to us twice that we have made roleplay decisions that he had no idea how to handle and / nearly derailed the campaign. We have since scaled back our out-of-the-box decisions and kept things a little more linear so he can experience improvising DMing at a slower pace. We have expressed the majority of combats how we feel it is unbalanced, and have been literally fighting for our lives. I tried to explain that he actually needs to adjust combat due to the fact that we are a party that is half the recommended size. We had a PC die in session 1 in fact. The player was okay with it and didn't want plot armor. He failed his 3 death saves. When the DM got to the session, he loudly announced, "Everyone ready for a TPK tonight?" I also noticed the following day that he had posted in Discord before session, "I sure hope everyone is bringing their A game tonight." We all took this as a joke, seeing as it had been mentioned almost every game prior to today. I did the taboo thing and looked into the module Encounter Builder on our shared D&D Beyond account and saw that this CR18 homebrew creature, for obvious reasons, didn't exist in the room at all. As the coach to the newbie DMs, I have checked a few monster stat blocks afterwards. Things seemed funny to make sure they understood how a monster stat block worked and helped them if they did it incorrectly. Now, this veteran DM is actually doing a very good job to host and to coach his players. He's helping them understand how to run stat blocks, how to make them. He's helping them understand just how to play as a DM. And I feel like this player's kind of done like a power trip. And this also shows, just like all the other posts, why it is extremely important to have session 0, no matter how well you know the people. Because sometimes tastes change. Sometimes you don't realize somebody wants to TPK, and sometimes they cry wolf. Much love, everyone, and thank you for watching. Stay safe, subscribe, and stay sexy. Bye-bye!